This video will be a brief overview of Mirus, showing how to navigate through the different sections of the software. On the far right of the home screen, there is a Diagnostics option. Illustrated by two spur gears, Diagnostics can be reached from a number of places in the software. The purpose of Diagnostics is to see real-time readings for your grain gauge. Once we select the Diagnostics option, a smaller window will appear with 6 tabs at the top: Weight, Moisture, Test Weight, Level Detect, Health, and Actuators. At the bottom left of the Diagnostics window, you will notice a Tare option. This is where you can tare the system to zero out your weight, moisture, and level detect. Next to the Tare button, there's an option to enter glean. When selected, this opens the grain gauge gates to harvest without collecting any data. To start to collect data again, simply select Exit Glean. You should be on the Weight tab by default. This is where you see the real-time plot weight in the grain gauge. Next is the Moisture tab. This allows us to see the real-time moisture of the grain you have in the grain gauge. Next is the Test Weight tab. This allows us to see the test weight of the grain in the grain gauge. The top value saying test weight gives us the real-time test weight value. Next, the Level Detect tab. This is where you can find the weight trip value or the level count value. Next is the Health tab. The Health tab's purpose is to help Harvest Master technicians diagnose problems with the system. Lastly is the Actuator tab. This tab allows us to cycle each actuator associated with the grain gauge manually, as well as see whether the actuator is open or closed. Shown here is the actuators associated with the H2 Classic grain gauge. Once you are done with the Diagnostics window, you can either select the green check mark in the bottom right corner or hit the Exit option in the top right to get back to the window you were on previously. The Setup screen is where we can view and edit the Harvest Master system settings. When we open Setup, by default, we're on the Devices screen. Here we can upload settings, export settings, view the Diagnostics screen, as well as select the option of our grain gauge to view in the hardware settings for our system. Upon opening the icon corresponding to our grain gauge, we see this menu. First is the Actuators screen. This is the screen in which settings regarding timers for gate actuations of the grain gauge can be edited, and where adjustments to limit switch settings can be made. Next is the Calibration screen. This menu will include all of the wizards for calibrating your Harvest Master system. The Info screen is where settings calculated automatically by the Harvest Master system are stored and can be viewed. The Sensors settings are the settings pertaining to the data collected by the Harvest Master system. Within this screen, we see weight, moisture, test weight, and level detect settings. System is a list of general settings for the Harvest Master system as a whole. The Factory Reset option can be ignored and should only be entered if directed to do so by a member of the Harvest Master team. The Firmware option simply displays the firmware that is stored on the modules of your Harvest Master system. Finally, the Moisture Curve screen allows you to create, view, and edit moisture curves. When using H2 grain gauges, moisture curves are combined with the volumetric chamber calibration. Be sure to remember that if ever a setting is changed, it is critical that you press the floppy disk icon to save the change. Now that we have covered the options under Devices, let's take a look at the other options at the bottom of the screen. The Preferences screen is where you as the user can specify your preferred units of measure and language. In the Traits screen, the note-taking traits can be set up. Lastly, under the About icon, the version of Mirus that you are running is listed, as well as the contact information for HarvestMaster. From the home screen of Mirus, there is an option labeled Maps. If we select the Maps option, we can create, add, import, export, and view maps. If you have any maps already created, they will appear on the left. To add a new map, select the plus sign in the bottom left that says New. This is also where you would import a map that you have already created in Excel. To view an existing map, select the desired map on the left and then select View. To delete an existing map, highlight the desired map on the left and then select Delete. To copy an existing map, highlight the desired map on the left and select Copy. This is where you can rename a map as well. To export an existing map, highlight the desired map on the left and select Export and then choose where to export the file. The map will export in an Excel format. Finally, to enter harvest mode from the Maps window, you can select the desired map and then select Harvest on the right. To return to the Mirus home screen, select the green Mirus Home option in the top left corner of the screen. There are two ways to get into harvest mode. The simplest method is to click on the Harvest button on the main menu. The other way is to click on the Map icon on the main menu and select the map you would like to use. From there, you will see the Harvest icon. Select this to proceed to harvest. In Harvest Setup, the first section is selecting your desired map. The next section is choosing your harvest pattern. At the top is where you can choose your starting location. On the left, you can choose the direction at which your combine will travel. Lastly is the pattern type. Notice that when you change your direction, that the pattern type changes to match. Use the green arrow to proceed to the next page. Data sources is where you can select which type of data points you are wishing to collect while harvesting. When selecting one of the data source types, the icon will become green when selected or gray when not selected. If you select traits to be recorded while harvesting, this next page is where you will need to select which traits you want to record. The plus sign in the bottom left of the Select Traits window is where you can create new traits. The next window is where you would select your desired moisture curve. This is the harvest screen. At the bottom of the screen, there are multiple buttons. The Start button on the far left is what you would press if you are ready to start harvest. The two spur gears is what would open up Diagnostics. The stopwatch icon is where cycle settings are found. From here, depending on the type of grain gauge you have, is where you can change from a countdown or cycle timer. The navigation icon is where you can change your starting location, direction, and navigation type. The pencil icon will open the Quick Notes window. It is here that you can write a note on a plot that you want to remember for later. The graph icon shows completed plot data in a bar graph view. The next icon is called the quad view. This splits the screen to see up to 4 different windows of information. If you click on the quad view icon a second time, it pulls up the options to fill the different quadrants. The next icon is the spatial screen that shows the map layout of your map. This is the list view. This is where you can see the collected data from each plot. The last icon is a number pad that is used with different paid plugins. When not connected to a grain gauge, the option for note-taking appears. By clicking on the icon, the option to select a map will appear. Select the map you want to take notes in and press the green check mark. This is the navigation screen. From here, you can choose your starting location, the direction you will travel, and the navigation type. On this screen, you can select the number of observers. If you do not have more than one observer, then it does not matter whether you choose plot or trait for a collection type. Plot order means that you will record all your predetermined traits in one plot before you proceed to the next. Trait order means that if you have selected more than one trait to record, you will collect one trait at a time. This is where you select the traits that you want to collect data on if you have previously entered them, or you can press the plus sign found at the bottom left of the screen to create a new trait. You can select multiple different traits. Once you have selected your desired traits, a green check mark will appear at the bottom right. Press this to proceed. This is the note-taking collection window. This has many options similar to the harvest screen. The navigation icon is where you can change your starting location, direction, and navigation type. The pencil icon will open the Quick Notes window. It is here that you can write a note on a plot that you want to remember for later. The next icon is called the Quad View. This splits the screen to see up to 3 different windows of information. If you click on the Quad View icon a second time, it pulls up the options to fill the different quadrants. The next icon is the spatial screen that shows the map layout of your map. This is the list view. This is where you can see the collected data from each plot. The last icon is a number pad that is used with different paid plugins. This has been a brief overview of Mirus, showing the different areas of the software and how to navigate between them. If you have questions, please call Harvest Master Support.